Welcome back to Not Now Woodworking. I'm Larry Schumer. Today we're back at the lathe. If you viewed my other videos, you recall that I had the Wen and I replaced it with the Jet. I did a review on those lathes. The main reason was that the Wen wasn't powerful enough to drill out a block of wood using a forcer bit, a rather large one. And the Jet has no trouble doing that. So today I thought I'd show you how I make the main product that uses that process that I sell, and that's a cactus planter. So step one is to start with a block of wood. Here's one that I made up. It has padauk, cherry, and walnut. You could do obviously whatever you want. One solid block is fine. So that's step one, and let's move on to step two. Step two is pretty straightforward. Let's mark the center on each side of the block. And I like to take a Harbor Freight center punch and make a little indentation. Okay, let's go to step three. Okay, step three, we're going to draw a circle because I'm going to trim it on the bandsaw, and this just makes it easier. So I got this little homemade compass that I made. There's my circle. At this point, you also want to acknowledge which side is going to be your top. So in this case, I'm going to have the thicker walnut on the bottom, so that's going to be my top. Okay, let's move on. Okay, step four. I'm going to drill a 2 1/8 inch hole on the top of my blank, about 3/16 1/4 inch deep. This mortise is where I'm going to actually mount the block to the lathe with a 4-jaw chuck using that hole. It's not tapered the way a lot of guys say holes should be made to mount on the 4-jaw chuck, but I haven't had any trouble. Works fine, and it's very easy to do. So that's the next step. That forcer bit's a little duller than I'd like. I use it to do my bowls. I've made a lot of cactus planters like this, so it's gotten quite a bit of use. Okay, so that's how I'm going to mount it. Next is to trim it on the bandsaw. Okay, we're here at the bandsaw, and I'm just going to quickly trim off the corners, roughly follow my circle. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Okay, I've got the blank mounted on the lathe. I got my top on the 4-jaw chuck. Got the heel stock brought up for support. Next thing I'm going to do is just kind of round out the block of wood and kind of give it some shape. Sometimes I make it taper, sometimes I make it straight. So this is the time that I decide what I want my outside profile to be. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, I've got my profile the way I want it on the outside. On the bottom, I've removed my tailstock. On the bottom, I still have my center mark. I've made a circle about 2 1/8 inches in diameter, the same as that drill bit on the front. I'm actually going to use my lathe tools and make a mortise here so I can turn the block around and drill the front. So right now I want to get the bottom the way I want it, all sanded and done, and then I'll reverse the block on the lathe. Okay, I've got the bottom the way I want, not sanded yet, and I want to test fit my mortise. I made this little testing block. It's got the tendon on this side that wants to match that. And if that goes in and it seats all the way, then I'm good. So I'm gonna sand the bottom and then turn the block around. All right, this is step 9 according to the paper that I created. So I've got tailstock back on the lathe, on the bed. I've got a 1 1/4 inch Forstner bit mounted in the chuck. I do this in 3 steps. I could probably with this lathe I could do it in 1 step right to the final bit is 2 3/4. The idea, this is the cup that the small cacti come in. So the idea is that you can either plant the cactus in the cactus holder itself, or you can just strap this in. So it's going to be the depth of this plastic holder, which is 2 1/4, and the diameter is about 2 3/4. So that's where I'm going with this. Anyway, I do it in 3 steps. It's easier. I'm used to doing that with my old lathe. The Wen couldn't even do this in 3 steps. The Jet, if I put it on the low speed, can probably drill it right through with the larger bit, but it's still a lot of strain on the lathe. So I don't have any desire to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill this out. I'm gonna show you some of the drilling, and then we'll move on from that. My speed's going to be about 700 or so RPM. What else? And my depth, as you saw, is going to be just touching the walnut. So I'm going to drill through the Duke and the maple, or the cherry rather, and then hit the walnut. And it turns out that the depth, as far as the bit's concerned, you probably can't see it, is just up to there's a little shoulder here that starts to go into the chuck. So that's how deep I know to go with this bit. Let's do it, see what happens. And just to remind you, this is on the high speed. So it's on the smallest pulley on top. And for most work, you don't really have to change from that pulley. But if it gets bogged down, if you're doing something that really stresses the motor or stresses the lathe, then you can just drop it down to medium or even low. Low, it's got incredible torque. Here we go. The Duke's pretty soft. I could not do this on the Wen. I'm continuously feeding the bit. And what I usually do is blow air as I'm drilling to clear the chip, so I don't really have to back it off as much. Okay, that's about my depth. Okay, turn it off, change bits, and do it again. Okay, the second bit is 1 7/8. Okay, this is the final bit. It's 2 what I say it was, 2 3/4. Yeah, it's a huge bit. You can see why you wouldn't want to do everything at one time with that bit to drill it out. So I've got it marked for my depth. That's where I want to go. By the way, these lights are often on sale at Woodcraft for half price. So I bought this one for 20 bucks. That's a great LED light. Little side note. Okay. I'm just hitting the walnut. Not bad. Okay, drilling's over. Next, I finished the outside. I'm gonna take, by the way, I use carbide tools, in case anybody cares. Made them myself. There's a purple heart handle I made, 1/2-inch rod, buy the inserts, tap a hole, a little milling, and you're good to go. Okay, so going to finish the outside, going to sand it, and take care of the lip, and that's pretty much it. I'll show you what it's like when it's done. All right, here's an update and clarification. So I'm sanded to 400. On the inside, I put sanding sealer. What's not clear is that the reason this could be a cactus planter is that this inside is going to be lined with epoxy. So that'll prevent the moisture from soaking into wood and damaging the beautiful wood that you started with. So there's what my bottom looks like. All my bowls look the same way. That's the same way I do it. I leave the mortise in there, sand it smooth. And so the next step is I use spray lacquer on this particular item. So most of my bowls I hand rub with oil. But my cactus planters I'll spray with lacquer all around. I'll put, when that dries, I'll line it with epoxy. I'll put 3 rubber feet on the bottom, and that'll complete it. So that's what you'll see next. Well, it's a couple days later, and I've got the cactus planters done. But before we look at that, I want to thank all my new subscribers. If you're new to my channel and you like what I do, please subscribe. Please give me a like, a thumbs up, and if you subscribe, I think you have to click on that notification bell to make sure that you get notified when I put out a new video. By the way, I don't put them on a regular basis, only when I think I have something interesting to share. So, anyway, here's the finished cactus planter. You can see, I'll move a little closer, you can see the feet on the bottom. And there go the dogs. Okay, got the feet. And in the inside, I don't know how well you can see it. I don't have a monitor on the camera. So I'm just kind of holding it in place so you can see the epoxy on the inside. What I didn't explain before was that the sanding sealer that I put on the inside was so the epoxy didn't soak into the wood too much. When that happens, then I have to put 2 coats of epoxy on because it doesn't create a smooth finish. But if I put sanding sealer first, 1 coat of epoxy works. And what I generally do is mix the epoxy in the cactus planter, mix it up, and then rotate the planter so the epoxy runs around the sides right up to the lip. So that's the one that I did in the video. Shortly after I made that video, I did another cactus planter. And we have oak, sapele, and padauk, another layer of sapele. And that was done the same way with my mortise on the bottom with my rubber feet and the epoxy on the center. I'm just assuming that you can see it. When I go to edit the video, I'll find out. Okay, so that's 2, and what I'll do is put some pictures at the end of this video of other cactus planters that I've made in the past. So that concludes my video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.